What's up, YouTube? This is G-Force from XTS Gaming with a first look at Insurgency, an indie game that's a first-person shooter available on Steam. It definitely reminds me a lot of Counter-Strike. You can actually aim down the sights now, which is kind of nice. There's no crosshairs, so it's definitely a lot more like a hardcore mode. One shot or two shots basically will take you down, and in some game modes you won't be able to respawn back in. Others you can. This is multiplayer mode, and this map is called The Heights. It's in the higher elevations in Afghanistan, and I think the multiplayer can have up to 16 on 16, but it seems to be that it probably plays a little better with 12 on 12. There's also a co-op mode, which I'll probably review in a future video. The weapons in this particular game react more like I guess a real-life weapon would, as far as the recoil pattern goes, and you don't have any crosshairs like I said earlier, so your hip fire is really affected by how well you can get off that first shot, but it's much better to be aiming down your sight because you'll be a lot more accurate and be able to take more targets down. Here I'm getting into a firefight with the security forces, and they're basically working together to try and take over the different control points. And if your team takes over a control point, then the people who have died off can respawn in, and this is one of the modes where people can actually respawn in, but the other team also respawns back in as well.
Holy crap.
There's 5 different multiplayer modes. I've only played a couple of them. This control point and search and destroy, which you're searching for the enemy cache and basically trying to destroy that while the defenders are trying to keep you from doing that. There's also 2 different co-op modes. There's the outpost, which is kind of like the endless wave mode, and another one, the other co-op mode is dealing with an objective-based mission where you're out to destroy the enemy weapons cache. There's a lot of tactics that can be employed in this particular game, and communication is really vital between you and your teammates as far as identifying where the enemy is and where the weak points are and moving up together. Here's an image of the loadout screen where you can choose and customize your weapon before the round starts. And this round is search and destroy, which is basically your team. If you're the security team, you're looking for the weapons cache to destroy them, and if you're the insurgents, you're trying to keep the security forces from destroying your weapon cache. And this map is called the District. It's a lot of close quarters combat, narrow hallways, small buildings, multi-story buildings, alleyways, ambush points, choke points. So it makes for a lot of intense firefights. And that's the one thing I notice about this particular game, is that the firefights tend to be very intense because you can't just get shot several times. If you're shot once or twice, you're pretty much down, and you may not respawn for a while, if at all, depending on the game mode. The developers recommend that you start off in a co-op mode or co-op server to try to learn the game or play the game with your teammates or friends and kind of learn the maps before jumping into a multiplayer. Jumping into a multiplayer can be somewhat intimidating if you don't know the maps very well and you're playing against a bunch of competitive players that are pretty good at the game already, and this makes for a very challenging round. So in the firefight, search and destroy, there's only 1 life per person. Reinforcements will only arrive after your team has captured one of the points. Strike and push modes, you gain reinforcements as your team captures different objectives. So you have a better chance of coming back into the game if you've died already. And you can die very quickly in this game. Basically a hail of gunfire, and several of your squad mates, including yourself, could be down, and you're dependent on the other remaining surviving teammates to capture the objectives so you can get back into the game and accomplish capturing the objectives or taking the objectives. So far from what I've seen of this game, I really like it. The gameplay is intense, teamwork is essential, staying alive is essential, and capturing the objectives a very big part of the game. I'd recommend trying this game out, and especially if you have some friends that you can play with on comms, because it'll make a big difference on how well you do in the different missions, whether it be co-op or multiplayer. But I think it'll be a pretty fun experience for all the people involved. I plan on doing a co-op video later on, but this is the inaugural video for my new GeForce Gaming channel, and like what you saw and want to see more, like and subscribe below. For now, this is GeForce from XTS Gaming, signing off.